What up, y'all? It is Alex, and this is a video for those who are brand new to Ableton and brand new to audio production or music production, electronic music production. So, yeah, it's going to be super minimal, super like you've never done this before, and we're going to make a little track together or like part of a track together. So, yeah, it's going to be long, but hopefully you like it. I also teach private lessons on Patreon, so feel free to go to my Patreon page to support. And if you want private lessons, we can talk about production, mixing, how to use Ableton, you know, whatever you want, basically. So yeah, go check that out. Link in the description to my Patreon page. You can also get track feedback and some samples from me. But cool. So now, here we are. So So this is the arrangement window, and this is the window I mostly spend time in. If you press tab or if you press this over here, you can switch to session view. For today's purposes, I'm not going to be in session view. Okay. Now let's just say you want to make a track, and we're going to make like a little techno track. So what I'm going to do is I want to go at a faster tempo. So to change the tempo, you can either tap it in here. So let's say you have an idea in your head where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can start tapping here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's around 166. And then if you want it to be exact, not 166.14, you can click here and just type 166, enter, bam. That's a bit faster today. So let's do 140, enter. And yeah, so now I'm going to start with the kick drum. So I'm going to go... You could go to drums and do that. I'm just going to go up here and write kick. This is like a little search menu. Then I write all results, click all results. And now I'm going to have some kicks here. And now I can hear them if I click on them. You might not be able to hear some of them. Like if you click on this, I think .adv, I think that's like a sampler or something. Yeah, I don't know. I can't hear it though. But if you go over like .aif or .wave, you should be able to hear them. So now I'm just going to click one that I like. Let's see here. I think there's one called like Kick 90s. Yeah, let's hurry up. Kick 90s, yeah. All right, let's just choose this one. Okay, so now I'm going to click it and drag it. And now I'm going to drag it onto one of these audio file things and let go of it. Now, if I want this to go to the beginning, which I do, I can click here, and I can use my arrow keys to push it over that way. I could also just grab it from the top and do that. And yeah, so now I want to do a 4 on the floor kick, where basically there's a kick going 1, 2, 3, 4 on every beat. Now, up at the top, you see how it says 1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 2. This is 1 bar. So oftentimes when you hear music, it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So here's the 1, here's the 2, here's the 3, here's the 4. So this is 1 measure, 1 bar. So if I want this kick to be duplicated over, what I can do is I can highlight. So I'm going to click here and then drag my thing left and start to highlight the kick. And now I can press Command on a Mac or Control on a PC, D for duplicate, and now I'm duplicating things over. You might be wondering, Alex, how'd you get it to be in a loop? Well, I highlighted this bar, which again is 1 to 2, and then I pressed Command or Control L. And then this thing turns on, and now it's looped, and now that's great. So now I got this going on. So this is cool, right? So let's get a clap now. I'm going to type in clap. So again, I'm going to all results, typing in clap. I like this clap. So I'm going to drag this onto another audio track, excuse me. And now I want this to hit on the 2 and the 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 2. This is the 4. So another way I can get this over there is I can hold down. On the Mac, it's the Option key. On the PC, maybe it's the Alt key. You're going to hold that down, press in the section that's pink. If you press down here, nothing happens. So you press up here on the bar, and now you have hold down Option, press, drag, then let go of Option, and now it like copies it over for you. You could also highlight this whole rectangle here and press Command D. By the way, yeah, if you're not already, you should be following me along right now and just copying me on Ableton. Yeah, you should do that. Okay, so now we got this. And see how this is red down here? Basically that means there's like some clipping occurring. I don't want that to happen as I'm producing, so I'm gonna turn down the volume of these two tracks. So I could just press here, this is gonna be volume for the clap. And I could move that down, and then I could do the same for the kick. But if I wanna do both at the same time, what I can do is I can press here. I'm gonna press where it says 390s kick 1. Then I'm gonna press shift and then press this audio. And now if I pull down one, it pulls down both. Whoops. Let's go back to the beginning. And now I am no longer clipping. So that's cool. Now, okay, we'll get there later. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add an instrument. So we're gonna add a bass line. So here's the thing, right now I've been using samples, which means like basically we've been using pieces of audio that we can just drag in. But now let's use a synthesizer. So I'm gonna go to sounds, we're gonna do a bass line. I'm gonna grab bass, and then let's see here. I'm gonna find one that I like. Let's try this one. So now I'm gonna drag it onto a MIDI track. So, and if for some reason you don't see a MIDI track, right click here and then press insert MIDI track. But okay, so now I have this instrument here. And if you can't hear it, like, because right now I can press on my keyboard A, W, S, E, D, F, etc., etc. Like, just on my computer keyboard, I can do that. Now, if you can't do that for some reason, make sure this is clicked, this piano button, because if it's not clicked, look, I can't do it anymore. But now with it clicked, I can do it again. And you also need to make sure this is activated, this arm button. You need to make sure that's on. Okay? This S button is called the solo button. What that does is, let's say you're like listening up above and you just want to hear the kicks. Oh, whoops. Then you could press S, and now you're only hearing the kick, you're soloing it. And if you just want to hear the clap, you can click on that. And if you want to hear both, you could just turn off solo, or you could hold down Command or Alt and press the S here. I believe it's Alt again. Please, I'm sure if you're on your PC and it's not, Alt isn't working, then try one of the other ones that's right down there. Okay, cool. So there you have it. All right, but so I want this bass line. So now, let's see here. So this thing here is generating, and if you can't see this, click here again. So like if you clicked on the clap, see how it goes away? Click on the track that has acoustic systems in here. And so these are all tracks, by the way. Track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4. So click on track 3 or whichever track has the acoustic synth bass or whatever bass you're using. And now you're going to, we're going to just do an offbeat bass, which is where you have basically it hitting, the bass is going to be hitting in between the kicks exactly. So I want to put a note here. So how do I do that? Because I can hit notes, but I can't seem to like see it on the computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this space, and I'm going to right click and press insert empty MIDI clip. See how this blue thing appeared and now this appeared? So check this out. I'm going to press a button here. Did you hear that? I'm going to solo this. So a note is now playing. Now let's move it down. And wouldn't it be convenient if I could hear it while I'm moving it? Well, make sure this button's pressed, this headphone, and now you can. Alright, I kind of like that. Let's do that. Alright, so now if I press the top of this clip, I'm going to duplicate it over. And so now it's going to happen for the whole bar. And there you have it. So now I have some sort of sound. Now, let me undo some things. So we have our note in here. All right, so this is here. Let's say when you made your MIDI clip, it was like that big, and you tried to duplicate it over, and you got something like this or whatever. What you can do is you can just highlight this whole like section here and press Command J, and now it makes it exactly 1/4 of the bar. And so now you can do that. And again, you can also, oh, and to undo, I'm pressing Command Z to undo. So look, if I duplicate these and want to undo that, Command Z. And if I want to redo it, Shift Command Z. Bam. So Command Z to undo, Shift Command Z. Here's another quick thing. If you want to zoom out, press minus. If you want to zoom in, press plus. Minus, plus. And it's going to like zoom in or out based on where your cursor is. Like if I press over here and I zoom in, it's taking me over there. If I want to zoom in on this section, I press in this section, zoom in, here I am. All right. Hopefully this is working out for y'all. So, okay. So let's listen to what we've got here. And I just consolidated the clips. So basically I had these just 4 small clips. If I press on the top of one clip and then press Shift and then press over here, now I can press Command J. Now it's 1 clip. Boom, bam. Okay, so now let's see where we're at. Oh, wait. Okay. Now let's say I wanted this to be audio. I could mess with all these knobs because I don't like how it sounds. You know, I could start messing around there, but I have another idea. I'm gonna right click here and press freeze track. What this does is it's sort of like turning this track into audio. This will help you save CPU because now it is frozen this instrument, but it still sounds the same. But let's say you want to turn it into audio. I'm gonna press flatten track. Now look, the synth is gone, but the audio remains. Now, I want the bass notes to be shorter. So I'm gonna zoom in. And okay, so I zoomed in by pressing plus. And now I want this bass note to hit like right here. So I wish I could grab right here, but I can't, you know, right where it starts. But if I press Command 1, look how the grid gets smaller. See that? And now I can zoom in a bit and get closer to where it starts. And now I want to cut this clip. So I'm going to press Command E, which slices that. And now I can grab the clip there. Command 2 to make the grid bigger. So Command 1 makes it smaller, Command 2 makes it bigger. And now I'm going to move that over. And now I'm going to loop this. All right, it seems like this. It's sounding funny when it ends. So if I zoom in, see how these little squares appear? And if you don't see them, maybe click this button. If you click this gear, sometimes when you click it, you can see red lines like that. But if you press it again and you can't see red lines, now you have this. And so you can press this little square. And this is like a volume thing. It's a volume fade. See? Hear that big whoop at the end? I don't like that, so I'm fading this out. All right, and now I want to copy this over, so I'm going to highlight the space, Command J, and now I can do that. Now let's listen. Cool, right? So now we've got some sort of a beat. So let's do something else. All right, so now I'm gonna open up the operator. So I wanna do some hi-hats, which is like, you know, oftentimes you could like ticket, 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 something like that. So I'm actually gonna make those with a synthesizer. So Ableton has all these synths. If you go to instruments, these are all like built-in instruments. There's one called operator. I'm going to drag it onto a new MIDI track. And again, if you don't have a MIDI track, press Shift Command T, or right click, insert new MIDI track, bam, bam. Or if this isn't even there, if you just drag and drop it like here, it'll make a new track for you. That might actually be the fastest way to do it. And so now I'm going to make some 16th note hi-hats. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to highlight this loop. And now see how the grid is in 16th notes, 1 over 16? So I want a hat on every one of these little rectangles. So I'm going to highlight this whole space and press Shift Command M, make a new MIDI track. This is 16th notes. I'm going to drag some notes here. Okay, so what I just did was I double clicked, and then if you don't have 16th notes, make sure you press Command 1 or Command 2 so you can change the grid in here. So now I have 16th notes. I'm going to copy this one, push it over. Now if I press Command A, the whole thing's highlighted. Command D, bam. If this didn't highlight when you pressed Command A, click somewhere in this space and then press Command A, and then it should work. So now let's hear what this sounds like. Oh, and to get that away, I pressed Command Option L. So that's probably Control Alt L, and that screen disappears. So you can do that. You can also do Command Option M, Command Option B will do these other little screens. So yeah, that's Command Option M, Command Option B, or Control Alt. I assume Alt. Again, whenever I say Alt, I'm sure you figured out at this point. Instead of Command, you use a different key on the PC, and I think it's basically the same. But okay, so now on Operator, I have this. I don't like that because I want it to be a hat, not a note. And so if I double click here, I can see the operator. This is a synthesizer. Now, okay, I know this is a lot of material, but let's talk a bit about how a synthesizer works. So this thing is basically creating sounds. Now, in the setting that it's in now, level is volume. So right now, when there's no level, there's no volume. When I put it up, we get more volume. Now, this thing here is called an envelope, and it's basically mimicking how the sound sounds. So, and you can describe how it sounds by like attack, decay, and release, and sustain. ADSR, attack, decay, sustain, release. Now, watch what happens when I increase the attack. See how it gets less sharp? So this, the more the attack, the more it's taking for the note to like reach a peak, more or less. Now I'm gonna cut this. I just pressed Command E, delete, duplicate, press here, Shift, press here, Command L, loop. Now watch, we just have this one note. All right, real quick, if your screen was following like mine was, like doing this thing where it keeps moving, then what you can do is press this button here, and now it'll be stagnant. Or you can press Shift Command F. But okay, so now, let me show you what release is. So we did attack, here's release. When you have a big release, see how the note like doesn't really end, like after the MIDI's done, it keeps playing. That's because it has a long release. So as we shorten the release, okay. And now if we mess with sustain, if we bring the sustain down, it'll sound like this. Still sounds the same, so let's also move the decay down. And let's move the sustain up now. Okay, never mind. But yeah, see how they're working together like that? So now you could like have a short decay and not make the sustain so low, so now it'll hit and then it'll get a little quieter. Let me make this note longer. Pressing here, Command J, double clicking, Command A, Shift, arrow right key, right arrow. Okay, and then Command Option L. I know. All right. I'm telling you, it's good to learn all the hotkeys because it'll make you work really fast, and I think that's helpful to help you get your ideas out. But okay, so now let's try that. There you go. But yeah, that's a basic of attack, decay, sustain, release. And that's what's up. So here's another cool thing. So right now, this synthesizer is putting out something called a sine wave, where, let's pull up something. So go to Audio Effects, EQ Filters, EQ8, and now press this little triangle. All right, so now if I press spacebar, this is the note. This is what is being put out by this synth. It's an A sharp, it looks like. I know it's A sharp because if you look over here, see how it says the note? So it looks like it's an A sharp, and it's this one little tone. Now, that's because a sine wave just puts out one tone. Let's see, there's other waves you can do. Like here's one you may have heard of, a saw wave. See how it puts out a lot of other harmonics? So basically, this is still an A sharp, but now you're getting this other stuff with it. So think about it this way. You could have a guitar, a piano, a harp, a violin, all playing an A sharp. But it's all going to sound a little bit different because of the instrument themselves. So you can kind of think of like waves like that. Different waves are going to create different harmonics and sounds, but they're all still going to be like A sharps at the end of the day. So yeah, so you can also, there's all these different waves. You can try a triangle wave, you know, you can try a square wave, etc., etc. Now, what I'm going to do is actually have it shoot out noise. So watch, I'm going to turn this down because it can be loud. And see how it's just like the whole frequency spectrum? That's another thing to keep in mind. Like, and I'm not like a audio scientist or something, engineer. Well, kind of am. Whatever. Here's the quick and fast way I'm going to describe noise versus like tones. So remember on the saw wave, the triangle wave, whatever, you saw like a big peak at A sharp, right? So that's part of how we knew it was an A sharp. So if I press space on the noise, look, it's just like all over the place. And so usually noise doesn't have like a defined like note or like a big peak. But if I made a peak, so this EQ, this is an EQ. What you can do with an EQ is basically like help shape a sound. So let's say I just want the high part of the noise over here. I don't want the low part of the noise. And by the way, this is a frequency spectrum. So this is showing which frequencies are being played from the noise. And maybe I'm actually going to step back a bit. So yeah, I know there's a lot of info here, but I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. So humans can basically hear from like 20 hertz, which is like around here, up to about 20,000 hertz, which is around here. So this spectrum is showing us all the frequencies that like we should be able to hear. And it's cool because with this thing called an EQ, you can like make some frequencies louder if you want, make some quieter if you want, cut some out if you want. You can just, it can help you shape a sound. So I just want the high part of this hat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, see this little knob up here, 1. It corresponds to this. And I'm going to press this little drop down menu and press this shape here. So look, this is called a high pass. So what this is doing, everything to the left of this is getting erased. So watch. So now we just have these higher frequencies. Maybe I want a little bit more. And there's all sorts of shapes. There's this shape. There's this shape which like does this. There's this shape which is like the other ones where you can boost or subtract. There is this shape which is just like a mega subtraction. So you can really take out big things. There's this, which you can go up and down on the other side. And then you can cut out the highs. So here's a low pass filter. You're letting the lows pass through. So there you have it. Now, I'm going to shift this back to a high pass because that's what I wanted. This is high passing everything. Okay. I'm going to Command Option L. And now I'm going to make 16th notes. So I'm going to, here's the thing you can do. I'm going to grab just the front here. So the grid is in 16ths. You can see from here. Again, Command 1, Command 2 are going to help you do adjust the grid. Now I'm going to press Command E, which cuts a little chunk. Command D a bunch of times. Now I'm going to have, this is already highlighted, so Shift, press here, Command J, one piece. Now I have this. Okay. Now I want to shape the white noise. So I'm going to double click here, and I'm going to click envelope so I can see the envelope again. And now I'm going to mess with the attack, decay, and release until I get to a place where I like it. Okay, I kind of like that. Now, let's say I wanted to have it so sometimes it's more open like this, and then sometimes it's more closed like that. I can do that by hand, as you just saw, but it would be cool if there was a way I could like have it automatically do that. Well, have no fear, because in Ableton there's something called automation, and this allows you to automate things, and you can do this all the time. So again, Command Option L. I'm going to press this little gear thing so I can start to see these red lines. See these red lines? Cool, right? So now, what I'm going to do is I want to mess with the decay, because the decay is what is kind of making this sound more open or closed. See what I mean? So, check this out. If I press decay on the synth, and then go back, it says operator AE decay, and then we have this red line. So this red line is symbolizing the decay. So check this out. What I can do is, right now it's at 73.5 milliseconds. So I need a, if I press on the line, see how it made a little dot? It makes a little dot. Now I could press on a little dot over here and pull this up. So now look what happens. Interesting. See how it says 1.4 seconds up here and 73 milliseconds down there? If I double click operator, I can see the decay is slowly opening and closing. It's cool, right? Now, that's tight. We have some automation. Let's say I want to have the second half go down. So you could do this. You know, you could make little segments, do something like that. Or you can highlight the second half. And at a certain point, see how right now it's giving me a little blue dot, but if I go a little bit down, it highlights the whole line. So now I can click here and move the whole thing down like that. Cool, right? And yeah, so that's some automation. So now let's hear what we got with everything. I'm gonna duplicate this over. And real quick, see how the automation duplicated over too? The red line also came over. Whoops. So if that didn't happen, if you press this lock button, because watch, when the lock button's pressed, it's actually not gonna copy the automation over. See, it's gonna let you copy the MIDI over, the MIDI notes, but not the automation. But I want it to have the automation, so I'm gonna make sure that lock's not on. Click up here, Command D. Now we got this. Okay. Cool, right? All right, so now I am going to make this sound. I want the bass sound to be a little bit, I don't want so many high frequencies in it. So let's go ahead and go here. I'm gonna drag an EQ on. I'm gonna start cutting some frequencies out. Okay. Okay. So that's cool. Okay. Now let's see where to go from here. Okay, how about this? I'm gonna show you a couple more things. I'm gonna press Command T, create a new audio track. Now I'm going to record my voice into Ableton. So to do that, I'm gonna press Configure here. Audio input device. I have a microphone, Scarlett 2i2. If you just have you can also use the built-in mic on your computer here, if you have one. But so you know what? I'm gonna do that for here. I'm gonna use the built-in mic, and then if I press in, I can hear myself now. That's nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna press off so I don't hear myself. So I'm gonna press record here, and then I'm going to press this record. I'm gonna press in so I can hear myself. Then I'm gonna press record, and this is gonna be the best vocal you've ever heard in your entire life. Okay. Wah wah wah. Ah. Whatever. Okay. So off. All right. So now we're back. And whatever. Ah. All right. I'm gonna choose the whatever. So I'm zooming in, highlighting part of it. Command E, cut a little segment out. Command X, that's going to cut it. And now I'm going to press Command V here to paste. And I'm going to delete this other stuff. And now I'm going to duplicate this over a few times. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, so I like that, kind of, not really, but I want to take out the low frequency, so I'm going to grab the auto filter. It's similar to an EQ, but I just think it's easier, so I can just change the shape over here. Maybe I don't want this to happen as often. I'm going to delete those first two. Alright, I just want it to happen once in a while. So now I'm going to highlight this whole space, press Command J, duplicate it over. And yeah. Now I'm going to... So here's something else I'm going to show you. There's a couple hotkeys that I created myself, and you can easily create them too if you want. So if you press Command K, see how everything on the screen is like orange, or a lot of it's orange? Now this can be helpful because anything that's orange, you can assign a hotkey to it. So whenever you press, whenever you press the square, this track goes back to the beginning. That's just what happens. So look, if I'm over here and I want the cursor at the beginning, I press square. Now I'm back at the beginning. I press spacebar or this button, and now we're back. Square, that. So I press this button a lot. So I figured it'd be nice if there was a hotkey for it. So if I press Command K, and I press on this square, then I press the number 1 on your keyboard, this should pop up over here. Then you press Command K, and now whenever you press 1, it goes back to the beginning. So that's just kind of helpful. Now I also made this record button 2, this +3, and this 4, and the metronome and M. We can talk about those things later. But now if you want this to always be the case whenever you log into Ableton, because that's the thing, you have these hotkeys now, but then the next time you have a project, you'll have to make them again. What you can do is you can press Command or Control comma, or go up here, Live Preferences. And let's see, you go to, where is it? Save. One moment, it's in here. Okay. I don't know where it is actually. You know what? I feel like I'm letting y'all down. Let's see. Just Google it. Save default set. There should be a button that says Save default set. Google how to change default set Ableton. All right, I'm not sure. Whatever. Yeah, click how to save defaults at Ableton, and it should pop up. Just so you could always have it automatically there every time. But okay, so now we've got this. Okay, now let's do like a simple arrangement. So I'm gonna press this button to get the lines out of the way. And now I'm going to highlight all of this and press Command J. So look, now I have a nice little chunk, 1-bar chunk. Now I'm going to duplicate all of this over. So if I click and highlight everything, Command D, then minus minus, now I have a 4-bar loop. I'm going to highlight all of that, Command J, duplicate that, Command D, Command J again. Now I've got 8-bar loops. Now let's just assume the track I have is working in 8 bars at a time. What I could do is I could Command D this a few times, and now I could start to create like an arrangement. So maybe I don't want a kick at the beginning. So I'm going to click up here and delete the kick. And maybe I'm also don't want a bass line. Oh, and by the way, let's rename these tracks. So if I click here and press Command R, I can write kick, press here, Command R, clap, press here, Command R, bass, press here, Command R, vocal thing, press here, Command R, hats. All right. All right. Now let's say I want the kick to come in next. I'll delete the bass. Now I want the kicks out again here. I'm going to delete them. I pressed so I pressed here and pressed Command E. That splits it. Delete. Here we go. And now we've got something. Now I like doing some drum fills, so a way you can do that is, let's say you want a drum fill here. I'm going to click here, zoom in. A lot of different ways you can do it, but I'm just going to duplicate this kick over. So I'm going to change the grid to 16th notes. And when in doubt, if you just mess around with 16th notes, you can often get a decent result. Command E, duplicate. So now watch. You know, we got a little drum fill. I could undo that and do something with the clap too, or maybe I copy this over. Or maybe I do something with the MIDI notes. You know, or maybe I do like 10 claps. See what I mean? So this is a way you can get some little drum fills, etc., etc. Okay, but yeah, so now we're kind of arranging, we're moving. I'm gonna zoom in, Shift Command F to follow. All right, now let's say at this point we're bored or something. So I'm gonna now take out the hats, take out the clap. And we keep going. So let's say at a certain point you're arranging, and let's actually do something different. Let's say at this point you want the bass to like fade in. So there's several ways you could do that. One is you could just grab this corner. Oh wait. They're trying to like combine here. These two clips, so I'm going to grab this clip, move it over a little bit, and then I can just do that. And now watch, the volume's going to increase. See what I mean? Undo, Command Z. So that's one way you could do the volume automation. You could also grab a utility. So you're going to type in utility here. Double click. This gain knob is just volume basically. So what I could also do, I'm going to click this button, make sure I can see the line, press my dots here, Press one dot here, go down. See how that's happening? See the gain here? Boom, bam, there you go. Okay, so, and you can automate like so many things. So I'm gonna press Shift Command T to create a new MIDI track, and I'm gonna then Shift Command M to create a new MIDI clip that's 8 bars long. And watch, I'm gonna double click here, or actually I'm gonna get analog, which is a cool synth. And I'm gonna double click here. What note is this? Boom, boom. Oh yeah, so to move an octave down, Shift down arrow, Shift up arrow, there you go. And now I'm gonna zoom in. I want these on the off beats. Okay. I don't like how much release there is. So let's solo this with the kick. Again, I'm gonna now press Command solo to solo two things. I'm going to bring the release down. Here's the filter, the frequency. So see how it says low pass 24? So this is a low pass filter. Remember low pass from earlier? So let's say at one point you want to automate this filter. So you can highlight this space, right click, look at these shapes. So now you're getting more of like a, see how the frequency is changing? But yeah, and another thing you can do when you have diagonal lines, if you hold down Option or Alt, you can make them, you can like do this sort of thing to get more control. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that you could also automate frequency. Now let's say you wanted to automate the frequency and the volume for some reason, and you wanted to see both lines at the same time. And again, if for some reason you can't see these lines, make sure you click this button. Now I'm gonna press this plus sign. See how it like makes a new lane, and now analog F1 frequency is here. Now I can press the volume and look how a new line appeared here, press the plus sign. And so now I can also do a volume thing. And see how both are changing? Yeah, so you're basically able to do a lot there. Yeah. Yeah, I think, let's see. So basically, we're just scratching the surface. There's so much you can do. Maybe I'll do another video where we continue on, but I think I'm going to wrap it up for this first video. But yeah, if you want to learn more, want private lessons from me, patreon.com/AlexWilcox. It's in my description. Go ahead and check that out. Feel free. You know, even if you just want to throw $1 a month or something on Patreon, that would be much appreciated. So cool, y'all. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll see if I come with a part 2, but hopefully that gets you started a bit with how to use Ableton. All right, hope you're well. Peace. Ciao.